Council work session to order is June 6, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at Town Hall Complex in Batesburg-Leesville. At this time, I ask Ms. Hartley if you'd lead us in an invocation, please.
Father, we thank you for this moment in time. We thank you, Lord God, that you're with us and among us. And we thank you that we come to do your bidding among your people, for your people. We ask you, Father, to let us make decisions that are wise according to your standards. Bless everyone under the sound of my voice. And we declare that we will do your bidding. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Stand for the pledge if you are able. Led by Mr. Wise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. Mr. Frouts, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Balknight. Any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5? 6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. New business presentation and discussion regarding fiscal year 2024-2025 town budget. Going to turn it over to you, Mr. Hendricks.
All righty, thank you. And so I started off last week, or Monday, seems like a week ago, but it was just a few days ago, with a quote. So I'm going to keep that trend going. So this is a little play on that. The quote is from Kennedy. He was giving a speech talking about going to the moon. He said, "We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard." I share that one with you because when my wife recently ran a race, she did a 100-mile race. There were some guys, they had their little tent set up and some funny sayings and some flags and stuff. And they had a flag that played off of that quote by saying, "We do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be easy." So I found that humorous. Hopefully you do. So, all right. So last meeting on Monday, I was pretty much tasked with balancing the budget without a millage rate increase. The minimum goal that I had was to try to maintain the 3% cost of living adjustment for staff. That was the goal that I went into that cutting mode. So this is the updated sheet. We'll go through the budget, the whole thing in just a few minutes, but just a few tweaks there. We'll break it down for you. So this is looking at the general fund budget, going through, and again, I'll break down all the details. I think we can pull together some additional revenues to go into the general fund, totaling $110,223, and then there was cuts, basically decreasing about $138,127, giving us that $248 mark that we were tasked with. Just jumping right in. Option number 1, I've got 3 different options. This is not my favorite, but this is just the first one. The use of reserve funds. As much as I went through it and looked, there's not much meat on the bones to cut. We could get deeper, I'm sure, but the revenue that I identified, we currently are about 2.5% on the utility fund participation, a franchise fee. That franchise fee can go up to 5%. That helps to pay for town manager, assistant manager, finance, and human resources. So that $73,750 would take it up to that 5% franchise fee. And that would be utility fund transferring money into the general fund. $27,173 was that difference that I couldn't figure out where else to cut without really cutting into the needed supplies, the services of the town. But that was $27,173 transfer from the general fund reserve, which is, for lack of a better term, that savings, that checking account balance into the revenue line item. There was an $18,300 increase in revenue from 3 other sources. I'll break it down in just a moment, but special revenue, eligible interest, exclude a local option sales tax. basically taking a 3-year average on those 3 items and utilizing that 3-year average. LGIP going off a 3-year average on the interest that is through LGIP. The local government investment pool has been having a great year, but that's not indicative of the 3 years. So the 3-year average is 3.3%. And then also, it's actually a $9,000 decrease in the HTAX fund participation, where we shifted half of the street department employee to HTAX. So that's down the bottom where we actually shifted a total of $19,000, but it was a decrease of $9,000 on that line item. So several years ago, shortly after the HTAX was implemented, one half of a position, half of the funding for a street department employee that was cutting the grass, maintaining the downtown business districts, the HTAX district area. Those funds were being paid for out of HTAX. The other half is coming out of the street department. Last year, another position was added. That one was fully funded out of HTAX. This would be shifting that other half, that original employee salary and benefits over to hospitality tax. On the budget cut side, cutting out the 2% bonus would be a $55,200 savings. Pretty self-explanatory. And then the discussion the other night of cutting council payback to a $200 a month amount created a $23,647 savings in paid benefits, because there will be associated reduction in those benefits as well. There was also some perhaps heated discussion about council training and travel. That current line item is $16,000. We're at about $8,000 for the year. $5,000 cut would leave $11,000 in that, which would be more than adequate for the conference in July, even if there's 1 or 2 more council members that participate. So it trimmed it, but it didn't cut it completely. And then there were $30,900 in savings from 18 other line items that I trimmed.
You have them on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Get my clicker.
The clicker,
The clicker will click. All right, have to go old school. All right, so the more detailed breakdown. On the revenue side, again, the utility fund participation and the HTAX fund participation. Special revenue was about $8,000 increase. The SLU local option sales tax, again, going off the 3-year average, ticking that up just a little bit, about $4,000. Local government investment pool, again, Teddy had budgeted around the 3%. This would take to the 3.3% growth. And then the general fund reserve is $27,173. Give it a $110,223 of additional revenue. And then budget cuts. Again, the council paid benefits, council training and travel. Then there's admin training and travel of $2,000. Town manager training and travel of $2,500. Admin miscellaneous expense $1,500. Admin dues and subscriptions $500. Fire training and travel about $500. And all of these funds have not been maximized, or there's room to cut. Fire department physical and immunization, $1,000. Fire maintenance and repair, $2,000. Even though that one's there's a lot of maintenance and repair that goes on, we could try to cut $2 there. Fire vehicle fuel, oil, and grease, actually, as surprising as it sounds, they actually are, Teddy budgeted a little bit high there. We are currently doing good on that. I think $2,000 can come out. Fire department also supplies $200. Fire department, or excuse me, police department overtime $10,000. Chief, don't throw any stones at me. But that was a $75,000 increase, and we'll be working on that to try to maintain that. Police department electricity was $1,000. Fleet uniforms $300. They shifted recently from Cintas to buying their own, but there's only a two-man staff, so we can probably trim 300. Some tires and tubes out of fleet personnel miscellaneous. And we're getting into where we're in the just $100 range. Non-departmental state sales tax fees, going with 200 there. Non-departmental membership and dues, 600. IT group insurance is budgeted a little higher. IT employees single with no children, so we can safely trim a little bit there. I know Teddy likes to budget a little cushion in there in case you have to change the employment. But, IT computer materials, we've gone from 15,000 to 20,000. This just takes it back to that 15,000 mark. And then the 2% cost of living bonus is the final one, 55,200. So those cuts and those additional projected revenues, including the general fund reserve, would get you to the point where you're able to maintain the 3% cost of living rates. Again, those are the best cuts that I can come with, and that would allow us to maintain that 3% cost of living. Any questions about this? There's only a few more slides, so it's not a...
Yes, Mr. J.
Yes.
The police electricity, are we at budget with them currently?
Yes, we're doing good on that one, and so I feel that we could comfortably make that without them having to do any major changes or any. So option number 2, to prevent us from using that reserve fund, was a 2 mil increase. We talked about the millage rate increase Monday night. This will be a very minimal increase. It would generate about $42,453. And the red line shows that will be $15,310 more revenue than the reserve fund transfer. That would pretty much allow us to implement the majority of those line items that were trimmed, which 16 of them in total, about 15,900. The 2 big ones were 5,000 computer supplies and 10,000 police overtime. We can modify that, but that puts us in close proximity to go up 2 mils and then. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you do these cuts, that will put us in budget for this time.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you keep it, or would you?
Yeah, moving forward for next year, it would, again, we're just going to be reevaluating things, but yeah, we wouldn't really be able to just go right back. It would still be limited. And next year, if we're going to try to do cost of living raises again, we still have those same limitations.
So what I'm thinking about is like, okay, with the police, right? You were saying that if you do that cut, so what exactly does it entail?
Well, so the biggest thing, and this has been something the chief has talked about, is as they have gotten the staffing, and last meeting y'all talked about how they've got, I think it was too short, so they're nearly fully staffed. And so by being fully staffed, there's less need for overtime. You're just doing overtime for those vacant shifts or vacant or sick leave type things.
Okay.
So it is going to just fall on chief and the town manager to monitor that, and then his staff to try to keep that in line. It would definitely be a management. So that's option 2, the 2 mil increase. To give you a picture of what that 2 mil increase would look like, this is the same chart that we used the other night, but it's been modified to show 2 mils versus 9 mils. So again, for that assessed home of $56,166, it's about a $4.50 increase annually. For that $100,000 home, it's about an $8 increase. Each mill is kind of noted off to the side what the impact is for those specific houses. $155,000 homes, $12.40 impact, so forth and so on, down to that $292,000 home, which would see a $23.42 increase. Again, property owners would see the increase on vehicle taxes as well. Unfortunately, the vehicle I ran was my 2004 Ranger, so that wasn't a very good thing. But you would see increase, the more expensive the car, obviously the more taxes that we'd be paying on that. Any questions about that chart, what that millage increase would look like? It's very minimal. but it does bridge that gap and prevent us from tapping into the reserve fund to, again, maintain that 3% cost of living. And then option number 3 is cutting it down to a 2% cost of living increase. Each 1% is about $27,600. So it's essentially a wash with the projected reserve fund transfer. So essentially that would balance the budget without having to do a transfer. So those are kind of the 3 options that I see. Again, option 1 is to use the reserve.
And this is the reserve that's out of the general fund.
Yes, this is general fund reserve, which right now, to give you that balance, this is, the checking account has $543,000, and then the LGIP account has $1,106,000. So we've got $1,643,000.
What will it be in December?
I don't have that number in front of me. I can run
Cash flow analysis in December, which is the low point. It is the low point in December. The other one is there a legal requirement by the state to maintain a specific quote reserve, since we use that term, but we have no lockbox or special account that says that. This budget has no capital, this has capital in it, but it's paid for HTAX, I believe.
So, yes, there's an HTAX capital.
But no
There's
other
no general
capital.
fund capital.
There's no contingency in the budget. There's not a word contingency. Have we looked at business licenses?
As far as increase?
I'm looking at the fact that Walmart, and I would assume they're the largest single payer, after about $5 million, theirs drops down to 60, their rate drops down to 60% of what someone down here running a locally owned small business does. It is a declining relationship after $5 million. The highest 10 paying business licenses pays about pays like $300,000. Top 10 business licenses, I'm sorry, less than that. Top 10 business licenses pays $201,842, which seems a little low if you look at the size businesses. Our top payer is, and I'm not, couldn't interpret these numbers, but $55,000 a year. Cutting back instead of going with 10% increments above 5 million to 5% increments would affect probably 10 businesses and dramatically increase revenues.
So, in my 4 days on the job, I'm still learning, and I think that's good information and something good to look at for, a couple months from now. But obviously, on the fly, right now, I don't think that's good information to have in the future. But I don't think that solves it.
We can get it done between now and June 30th.
But then, I guess, just to review, use of reserves, option 1, the 2 mil increase, option 2, and then option 3 being a reduction of that cost.
Question, was it always a 2 mil increase or was it more?
Well, the other night, I had presented it at 9 mil, because to cover 248,000 was going to be close to 12 mils total. That's not palatable. So I showed this 9 mil increase just as kind of an informational thing. The 2 mil, we still do all those budget cuts. Well, it would allow us to put some of that money back in all those budget cuts, but still would allow us to trim still meet that 3% also.
So then the figures that you projected on the tax increase were based on 2 mil?
Yes, this chart is.
I want to be sure.
Yeah, this is the 2 mil, so, so, an assessed value is not retail value. So, the assessed value on your tax bill, those were a sample of 6 houses from around town. And this was their current bill on their most recent tax bill. So this shows what a 2 mil increase would be. So it'd be $4.50 added to $224 in that case.
Are we doing, will we have a water increase this, before August,
No,
before
there's
July,
no-
or September?
there's no water.
Just the,
This is
waste
trash.
management with the trash,
Yeah, we just did a water increase.
last year, right, before this.
Now, our budget continues to, over the last 5 years, using what data I can get off the website, between 2021, 22, we increased 7.8%. Between 22, 23, we increased 11.52%, and between 23, 24, in this budget, we're looking at 7.2%, while revenue has been equal to that. This year, it looks like revenue has only increased 4.37%. We're having stagnation in our economy. And what we do in this budget is going to affect future years.
Right, and that's
I
my
mean,
concern.
council pay is going to affect the next council.
Exactly.
All right.
And you're saying with the revenue, with the effect trickling down the ways, we'll be at the same juncture again in a short time.
Jay, I want to ask you a couple of things. One, at every meeting that we've had, Teddy has given us a budget synopsis, right? And nowhere in the 12 months, as he said, that we may be facing a $250,000 budget shortfall. How did that happen? And let me ask you the second question. When you try to track this stuff on the website, you used to could go back 5 years, and there was more detailed, itemized on what was being spent, and even in the check registry. All that's changed. How did we get to a $250,000 shortfall? Every meeting, he projected that we were ahead of this time last year. This is where we are. This is where we are this year. How did that happen? Why are we here? Seriously, I'm dead serious.
Because council did not have work sessions to review the budget. If we had been reviewing, it would come out plain, all right? And we don't have, you know, we haven't even seen last year's audit, all right, per se. We haven't seen last year's audit. It's real hard. You have pass-through items in here, all right? You have cuts in the budget, for instance, we cut 9/11, $60,000.
It was
But that's a pass-through. So we have pass-throughs. We have the garbage in there. In this budget, we have police funds that are restricted. We have fire department funds that are restricted. There's a separate police fund. And all of those sort of do not give us an ability to really look at the numbers per se.
How are we gonna fix this going forward? Because you can't, every time we have a budget, say that we have a budget deficit, you know, we can't even run a deficit in our budget. You know, this is ridiculous to be sitting here trying to figure out how we gonna generate or subsidize a $250,000 worth of budget cuts. And we pushed up against a deadline. Every time we do the budget, we pushed up against a deadline. This really doesn't make sense. I'm serious. I want to know how we got here. It can't be fairy dust and whatnot. How did we get to a point where we are $248,000 short on a budget?
Well, I mean, the majority of the proposed budget deficit was pay rate, or the cost of living increases, which that was $138,000 of that $248,000 deficit. So that's the biggest chunk of what was in the budget that was causing the out of balance.
Did we not know that was coming? I mean, who proposed that? I mean, if you are ahead of the budget and you know you're gonna try to give, a cost of living increase, why was that not factored in to what we were, working on all year long? You know, you can tell someone at the last minute and say, listen, this is what we're gonna do. And you have no way to offset that increase.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How do you propose to change, to make, what you're talking about, I understand.
Mhm.
But how are you gonna stop expenses from going up?
It's not that you stop expenses going up, you have to budget for it. That's
Well,
the
that's what
point.
we're doing.
No,
Now, we're doing it.
We're doing it now. We should have been doing it all year long.
It wasn't done in the past, because if it was done in the past, we wouldn't be here.
That's, I face it in my business, everybody that's got a business, everything's gone up, some things have gone up stupidly high. So and you don't have any choice but raise prices. The only option I see that the town's got, because we're faced with the town, we're faced with the same thing. Expenses are going up. We can't not give our people raises. I mean, they work hard for it. I mean, if we don't give our people raises, we're gonna lose those people to somebody else. They're going to.
Let's look at, do a 4%, 3% raise, 1% bonus. Take the money, no cuts, take the money out of the reserve fund, and in July, August, we will go back to the budget.
makes sense to me.
Do what? It doesn't make sense to me. Can you?
We're gonna pass a temporary budget and actually spend some time looking at what these items are.
Which is what we should have been doing all year long.
All year long, we've been working with last year's budget, and we passed
No,
last year.
we knew, listen, we knew that we were coming to this point.
We knew we were
Okay.
gonna get to a point where we had to make. a
Okay,
decision
so
on
the
budget.
manager
What
has
we
dropped the
didn't know
ball.
Was what the increases were gonna be.
So what?
We didn't know
Sorry.
all the past year, how much of the increases we were gonna see. We didn't know.
Why?
That,
You couldn't project it out?
you're just wild guessing at what material costs are gonna be.
What material costs? What are you talking about?
Anything you're buying.
Which
today.
material costs, what material costs are you talking about, Jay? That went up to the point where we got $250,000 in debt. What material costs went up?
well, I mean, just in the office, our office supplies have gone up, fuel prices have been volatile. Fire department supplies are through the roof, police department supplies. the ammunition
And we
costs.
didn't see this all year long?
Well, I mean, I think it's.
So are we deferring this problem until August, is what
No,
you're
we're gonna
saying?
fix it all.
Doing a temporary budget?
Yeah, we're gonna fix it though.
So that we can really look
I
at
don't
what the
understand how
problem
you don't think
issues
you're
are.
gonna fix it if we don't fix it now. How you gonna fix it now?
Because
Well,
we
what are you
don't
gonna-
even know what
What are
we
you
trying to
fixing?
fix.
What are you fixing?
Yeah, we don't know what we trying to fix.
The way I see it, I don't like messing with the reserve fund. We don't ever know when we might have some kind of disaster we need money for. And the only place we got money is in the reserve fund.
Well, I mean, that's not our fault though.
Well, it might not be, but we still need the money. If you have something, if the town hall burnt, if whatever, you don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna happen. And if you don't have a balance in the reserve,
We
to
have to balance
offset
it.
things, that's not wise. You can't take out all the balance, that's not smart
We're
at
not
all.
taking out all the balance in the reserve.
We can leave a reserve about what?
Well, what we've got in the LGIP is 1.1, and that's been a pretty solid number for us to handle. Just for, and I shared this with Councilman Hall earlier, we did go back, based off some questions, we did go back and just pull bank statements and just do a snapshot based off of May 31st. So where our current balance is currently, we've got, let me get to the right page. We've got $1,106,482 in the local government fund. Yeah, that was a couple of days ago. With $588,000 in the bank account, leaving us with $1,649,848 as a balance in that account, the general fund account, which we're kind of referring to
We're a
as
cash
reserve.
business. Those balances do not reflect month 13.
I'm just
And what I'm saying
providing.
by month 13 is bills that were incurred in June that are paid in July. Readdressed. Are you bored, Mayor? Are you bored?
What are we gonna do in August, sir, when we look at this?
Paul, you cannot cut
Wait,
blind.
stop, I'm
You cannot
talking.
cut blind.
Quit talking over me. Let me listen.
Okay.
Okay? Let me talk. It's my
You're
turn.
not refereeing this.
I am. I'm
Okay.
refereeing it. It's my
Okay.
turn to talk.
We're talking.
So I wanna know, what do y'all think is gonna happen in August to be able to fix a budget that we're temporarily doing now? Are we gonna get more money out of reserve?
Listen.
Or are we gonna stop spending
We're
money?
gonna figure out what we're cutting. You cannot cut in the dark, okay?
What, and give me an example, what are you cutting?
We'll look at
I just want, asking for an
We'll look
example,
at
but you
business
gonna,
What are you cutting
if it's
now?
not in the dark, what are you
What are you
cutting?
cutting now?
He just
What
put the
does, let
list.
me ask you a question. What does fleet do?
What's what?
What does the police department do?
What does the police department?
What
do?
does the fleet
Oh, the
department
police
do?
department, they
Yeah.
maintain our vehicles.
Okay, and
Yeah.
is there any room to cut there?
I
You don't know.
don't think you saw a
Thank
little
you.
bit, there was a
Okay.
little bit in there.
Okay, but you know, it might be some.
Well, you tell me how much we can cut there.
Well, that's what we doing in August.
No, tell me
Paul,
now.
I'm not telling you.
You
that to-
expect me to know now?
Because
I-
Paul, listen to me. We don't understand,
Bring the budget.
you don't know what is available to
Why
cut.
did you ask me then?
You don't know,
Look,
you don't know all the ins and outs of what's in these departments that
I'll
can
look
be
through the
cut,
budget.
right?
I'll look through the budget. No, I don't
So you
do
don't
the
see any
day-to-day
other cut, you
operation.
don't see any other cut?
I don't do the day-to-day operation.
Okay, then
I went through the budget.
and that's why we giving council time to do some oversight, which is our job.
I got you.
We want to do our job, which is oversight, where we might be able to find some cuts later on.
That'd be good.
Huh?
So,
That'd be good.
to try to finish what I was talking about earlier.
That's why you're not training.
Again, May 31st.
Give us some wisdom on all the 30 years of training you've had. And
Am
fucking
I,
solve
you
this thing.
want it?
Yeah,
You
solve
want
it.
it? Okay.
Just
so-
solve it, it's all I want.
Okay, so my understanding over the last 20 years, when you come up to budgets like this, if council doesn't have oversight, you cut the blind, and then in the middle of the fiscal year, then all of a sudden, there's pockets of money, the things that you didn't anticipate. All he's saying is, because we are in a bad situation, $250,000 short.
And we need to fix it now.
Huh?
We need to fix it now.
No, how you gonna fix it if you don't know what you
You
did?
just gave us a proposal.
Do you feel
Have you
like,
seen it? Okay.
I saw the
do you feel like
proposal.
you're
All right,
cutting?
y'all, this is the problem that we have with Teddy, is that
Jay
everybody's
doesn't
trying
feel like he's
to
cutting
follow
blind. He
Teddy
feels like he's cutting
blindly
from
and not
looking
looking
at
at it for yourself.
going through
You
it.
need to look at the budget
I
yourself.
did, I had.
Okay.
What's our head count now? Budgeted
Yeah,
head
no,
count.
no.
As far as employees,
How many people do we now have on the payroll?
I think we're 55.
So why didn't you oversee the budget
Don't have a
earlier?
number.
Have you been on here for?
That's the whole point.
We had
Why
two
didn't
meetings
That's the
last
whole
year.
point.
We-
That's what we're talking about now.
That's what I agree.
That's what we're talking about now. We need to oversee the budget now and not make blind cuts. Jesus.
Okay, so we keep adding employees and our population keeps declining.
Well, we trimmed, we modified the police department. We actually trimmed a couple of spots in the police department, have 4 out of the police department. So we probably are either even or maybe even down a little bit from 2
So
years
we're
ago.
comparing apples to apples. We're looking at a budget that previous years had 4 additional positions in it that this year does not. So we took $400,000 from somewhere if we cut 4 positions. Benefits, vehicles, gas, oil, retirement, comes, police officer cost, does the chief have a number for what a police officer on the street costs? Okay.
To finish what I was trying to say earlier, 1,649,000 is our current checking account balance as earlier in the week. Last year, this time it was 1,771,000, so we're down from last year. 2 years ago it was 1,470,000, so we're up not quite 200,000 from that. And 3 years ago, it was 947,000, so we're up 650,000. Again, that's a snapshot, just one day. It's not a full analysis, but that's a snapshot picture that we have trended up in the balance in that reserve fund.
Jay,
We had reassessment.
I'm just,
Okay, but we had reassessment. On the other side, we bought a $300,000 piece of property, which came out of the general funds in this time frame. I'm just saying, we need to understand how our town is operating, and maybe there's a better way to operate it, all right?
yes, that's
I understand that every employee needed an increase because of the cost of living, because I want my increases from my VA and my Social Security every year. But I'm saying, who determines the bonuses, how much they give them?
So, like we discussed Monday night, the only bonuses that we had previously were those COVID, federal government giving money, and that was those one-time bonuses, or 2 one-time bonuses. To my knowledge, we haven't done cost of living adjustment bonuses. I think Councilman Hall had that suggestion back in April as an opportunity to give a little bump, but it wouldn't have the long-term effect of.
So who decides the amount?
Council does. So,
Yes.
and so, well, I don't think it's ever been brought before.
Exactly.
I don't think it's ever.
That's exactly.
And you
I
said they
never-
on
you
you.
talking about council.
Well, I mean, ultimately, council makes
Council
the
ain't did
decision
nothing,
of-
'cause I mean, he never-
We approve the budget, that's what, right, but we don't make the decision
And the
on who
manager
gets
brings
what
the
and how
budget.
much somebody gets, right? We just approve the entire budget.
Exactly.
And the manager
There
brings
is
the
no
budget,
longer a
but we
merit
can make
pool.
amendments.
That's what I'm
There
saying.
is no
Council
longer a merit
approves
pool.
the
There
whole
used to be a
budget,
merit pool.
but who decides
ago,
on
there
the
was a merit
amount
pool.
they will get? Not council,
So-
because council is approving the bonus.
So the manager brings a budget proposal forward, and what we're trying to do is have that discussion with council, and if y'all feel it's 2% or 3%, you know, make those adjustments accordingly. I'm not sitting here telling you, that's why I'm presenting options. I'm not telling you this has to be done. And I can't speak to the previous managers, so I'm only me. So I'm trying to present you 3 options. None of them are perfect. None of them are ideal.
Which is why we probably need to pass a temporary budget, to go back in.
I don't even understand, I don't think we can legally pass a
We can
temporary
amend the
budget.
budget in the
We
middle
can-
of the year.
well, I guess.
Okay, so you understand that, right?
No, Steve, you're saying pass a temporary
Well,
budget,
no,
there is no
okay, so
such.
take that language out,
So
okay?
take the language
So
out,
take-
so pass a budget, one of the choices that the manager's offering up to us, okay? So pass one of these, and we
No,
can
we don't have to
amend.
pass one of these.
Okay.
Well,
Bob just put
we can
up
meet again
some-
on Saturday.
Well, Bob
Or we
just-
can stay here until, if
Well,
Bob
no,
has
no,
numbers.
first of all-
You could have given this to Jay earlier so that we could.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have been presented this at this
Mr.
time.
Hall,
This is a
you
late
could
date to
have
present
given
this.
this to the
What?
manager earlier, so he could have presented this as an option. Because it came right off your tongue and you knew what you were going to do. So you could have done
I
this.
did
That's
at 3
okay.
o'clock this afternoon.
Well, and you could have, and it was plenty of time to give him this option as a fourth
Well, it's on the
option.
table now, so
So, sir,
It's on the table now, so what?
it's not, I don't understand your option.
Well, explain to him.
Because it was
Obviously, you did.
presented
You
as a
saw it
temporary.
before.
It was
This
presented,
meeting. Apparently.
it was presented as a temporary budget, which there is no such thing. So.
Okay, let's pass a budget for balance by taking the money from the reserve and readdressing the budget.
And we have
amending the
that up
budget in
here.
July and August.
We have an option up here to take money from the reserve. So what's different between that option and what you're
Not make the cuts.
proposing? Sir,
Not make the cuts.
so take, all of it from the reserve,
At the moment, yes.
okay?
So you're saying pull
$248,000 out of the reserve.
If you wanna go 5%, if you wanna go 4%, it's less.
It ain't permanent, it's not a permanent, moving, it's not moving the money permanently from the reserve. It's buying us, it's buying us time.
A better understanding of what.
If you put it in there, it's gonna get spent.
Yeah.
Well, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Tell me
Whose fault is that?
It's the.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
The
If you
manager.
spend it.
The manager.
Okay then, don't spend the money.
There you go.
And
That was a
that
good
gives
job.
us enough
I
time
just
to figure out what cuts we
I
actually want to
disagree with
make.
that approach.
What?
I disagree with that.
Well, that's fine, you can disagree, you
I
just
can't-
want to vote.
I understand that.
Okay.
So are you.
That's all right.
Okay.
So your disagreement don't have anything to do with my agreement.
I didn't tell you what the thing is.
Okay, I'm not telling you.
Okay, so you're arguing a lot.
Yeah, because y'all doing stupid stuff.
Y'all, who's y'all?
Everybody that thinks.
Doesn't agree with you.
You ain't heard me open my
Everybody doesn't agree
mouth,
with you.
speak
Yeah,
kind.
because,
That's a fantastic way to say it.
well, because
You the one,
we dropped the ball.
the stupid stuff happened earlier.
We dropped the ball when we let Teddy
We're right.
put us in this position
That
where
doesn't-
you're
none of that matters
$250,000
where we're sitting right
in
now.
debt. So that's stupid for all of us.
That's not dead.
It's a budget shortfall.
The budget doesn't exist yet. It's not a budget shortfall. We're creating
All
a
right,
budget.
we're creating a budget.
It is. It is.
The budget's not even a
Yeah, okay,
guaranteed
it's
thing,
projected
it's just a
shortfall.
shot in the dark. We don't know what it's gonna bring in, we don't know how much the town may grow, we don't know, a budget. is
Why
a
don't
shot-
we know though?
You don't know.
Why?
It's a target.
It's
It's
impossible
educated
to
guess.
know.
Okay, there you go.
It's a
You
target.
don't know the future.
Okay,
None of us know the future.
okay.
We all might be
Target.
dead, you don't know.
I curse that in
Well,
Jesus'
and
name.
you know, in the property tax realm, we've got at least 20 new homes that have been under construction this year. We really don't know that revenue stream. We have shot in the dark, but, you know, it's,
And we're gonna take a $10,000 hit on the Mitchell Plaza. It's on the books at $2.6 million. It recently sold for the area of 1.2. That means it'll go on the books at 1.2, which virtually cuts in half the $18,000 that the town gets from property taxes.
What's Mitchell
Which is
Prop,
a-
Mitchell Plaza?
The old Food Line Bilo building.
no, we're Strong Body Fitness, Little Caesars.
Oh, okay.
I need some direction. Obviously, we're not voting tonight. You're voting Monday night. I need some direction so that I can present you a balanced budget for Monday night. I've presented these three options that I can plug those numbers in very quickly. And, you know, have that to you tonight, first thing in the morning. Council packet obviously normally goes out Thursday, that'll be going out tomorrow morning. Just to update you, we have got an attorney that will sit in with us Monday night so that we do have legal counsel just to help us steer through this. It's not a long-term thing, but it's.
So who got this person?
I reached out, well, actually, our bond attorney, from Parker Poe, Ray Jones, reached out to me and offered his services. And so we needed to have an attorney. He would not be the one, I think it's,
Now, have you posted the job yet?
I have not, because my entire focus has been on this budget. We need to get an RFQ to get posted.
Because we don't need to just bring an attorney in. We council needs to meet with them and talk to them. and
This is
everything.
just to get us through the
So,
next
yeah,
next
okay.
2 weeks.
Okay,
To get us, so that, we need some legal counsel for writing an ordinance for the budget and making sure that we don't stub ourselves. It's not it's a temporary thing with the company that we've used for bond attorneys, not more Bradley Myers. They have resigned, so, but we do need to have somebody that can at least guide me a little bit to keep me from running off the rails. And Ray was like, we're probably too expensive for you, we probably wouldn't be that company, but he wanted to reach out and offer that assistance, so,
But that's gotten off the agenda.
I apologize, so.
I would like from my perspective, I would like you to present option 2 to us on Monday night for a budget. Can you get to the millage increase chart? So what we see there in kind of the middle of the road of those examples, annual increase of $12 to $15, kind of middle of the road.
Are you making a motion, or you just?
No, motion. Yeah,
So you just
I'm
talk.
giving my opinion about which option I
All
like.
right, go ahead, go ahead.
So what that cost is, and that increase is annually, is about the cost of a fast food meal these days for any one person, maybe 2 people, if you get off the value menu of fast food joint. So I don't think that's a big ask as far as an increase goes on the millage rate. I think that's reasonable, and it accomplishes the immediate need that we have to balance the budget.
That option takes some out of the reserve fund.
Does it, Jay?
Now, this would,
Not any out of the reserve.
now, this would eliminate the need for the reserve and would allow us to put some back. So the reserve fund wouldn't be touched and would allow us to restore some to those line items, 15,900, approximately, based off our estimation of the value in the millers. No. I think this, study scheme, which was about 21,000.
Go back to option 1 for a minute. And do option 3.
And then this one is cutting it back to a 2% cost of living increase.
And did you say the other night that they got a cost of living last year?
Yes, sir. We have had cost of living raises the last few years. I don't have all those numbers in front of me, but, you know, the initial budget that was presented with $248,000 deficit was 3% raise, 2% bonus, so 5%. And so each 1% is basically and actually in that budget cut, they should say removal of 3% of 2% bonus. But each 1% raise in the general fund is about $27,600.
So would either one of these affect the,
Reserve fund?
Yeah,
This would not. This would get us below that threshold and would allow us to balance the budget with those adjustments on the revenue and budget cuts.
and it would go from 3% to 2% bonus.
Well, 2%, I would propose a raise, not just a bonus, actually.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
raise.
What's the cost of living? Does anybody know how much that's projected to be up this year? Over this.
Which CPI probably about 4.2%.
And so we're gonna ask, if we don't bump it up, our people are gonna lose money.
I didn't say I was going for this. I said I wanted to see them.
Well, I would think 3 is a minimum floor based on what other communities and states.
I think we need at
counties
least
are doing.
3% raise. I hate to have to go tell the people that we're gonna not let them keep up with these close to the cost of living.
I didn't say that. I said I wanted to see it. I didn't say nothing about doing it.
So option 2 again?
So option two, basically the only difference there is it took out
But what's the increase here?
so the millage increase would be.
No, but, okay, but we're talking about 3% or 5%?
That's with the 3% cost of living.
That's without the 2%.
That's for the 2% cut.
basically
So when
these
will all of
options
this
don't
come
include
into
the 2%.
effect?
It's already gone.
If you wanted to increase more millage, you could, if you wanted to go 4 or 5%, but that's the only way you can get to a 4 or 5% rate. And based off Monday night, I didn't think there was an appetite for that.
When would this become in effect?
July.
Cost of living this year's 3.2, so, go back to one. Thank you.
And with this scenario, or any of these scenarios with the adjustment, there was some correlating changes in the utility fund and the H-tax for the utility fund participation. The only real adjustment was in those reserve line items. So, would y'all like me to pull the budget up to kind of show you some of those pages? It's kind of getting into the weeds, but I'm more happy to have got it on the computer. Go ahead. All right, so just to show you in the utility side, the highlighted portions show things that changed from the original draft budget. The merit pool cost of living, it's not sharing. Sorry. Why is it not sharing? All right. It was literally just sharing. So where's our IT guy when after hours? Anybody know why it's not on sharing? I've run into this before, but Corey, Peter, Greg, y'all got any ideas?
I got a hammer in this road.
I got a baseball bat.
Well, that would take care of some things. Literally was just showing.
He ain't been here, he ain't been here.
Watch this. Hey, no.
I thought that was your countdown.
Do we have any RFPs that's out there that we would be affected if we didn't get this budget in by the 30th? We have anything?
I mean, we're required to have it all.
I used to do that.
Yeah,
There is no budget release.
Okay,
But
so,
I do believe that the state has the right to withhold funds.
if you don't submit.
If we do not submit
That's
the
right.
budget, state, I believe they withhold state funds which are like, what's it in here, $100,000. They could withhold that payment. They don't eliminate that payment, they just withhold it until a balanced budget is presented. So that's the only.
We have 2 months or 3 months to give it. I think there's a time frame after July, after June 30th that you have, like you said, to get those submitted ones.
I don't know that.
Yeah. Because I know, like you said, they will withhold.
They will withhold
payment
that-
for,
that fund.
until you get it in there.
And of course, you have the optics of not being able to pass a budget
Right.
per se.
All right, so somehow the projector's not working. In the utility fund, again, the only changes would show you're lowering that merit pool cost of living line item. The general fund participation line item that we just talked about would go up. The utility reserve deposit would go down, where we were transferring money into that reserve fund.
that would be the only changes on the utility side. And then on the H-tax side, there's more changes because of that shift of the salary. So the salary, wages, Social Security, group insurance, workers' comp, retirement, all would go up based off of that half of the salary going into it. As far as other changes, we did shift where we had the conversation the other night. It seemed like there was a desire to shift the entrance sign money to the reserve fund, shifting that so that zeroed out that line item and bumped up the reserve, and shifting Christmas lights and creating a Haynes Auditorium line item.
So you are shifting the sign balance to zero at the moment?
Yes, sir.
We'll
Yeah.
come back before council after we see what the
Yes.
signs are in the location.
Yes.
This is so crazy to me, but maybe I'm crazy. But what you're doing right now, by zeroing that out, knowing that you're not really zeroing that out, right?
I mean, it's just going to the reserve.
Right. So that's the exact same thing that Bob just said.
No, it's clarification.
I know what I'm saying is, you know you're gonna have to make a change at some point during the budget year to get back to where you want to be with that 10,000, right?
He wasn't, he didn't say.
I'm not even talking to you, but
You're so
that's basically what you're doing, right? It's not a child. You asking a stupid question.
No, I didn't. No.
Don't try to tell me what I'm trying to say.
Stop being so rude to me.
Well, don't tell me what
Stop
I'm
being
trying
rude.
to say.
I'm not saying anything. I was correcting what I was, no, that's not what I was saying. You
What are you
don't
saying?
listen.
What are you saying?
Forget about it.
No, don't forget about it. Tell me what you were saying.
I'm finished speaking.
No, say what you were gonna say.
Please,
Yeah, that's my point.
Y'all, grow
No,
up.
it's not.
That's what I-
That's
that's
no
my
point. You're rude. I don't have to talk to you.
Okay, well then don't interrupt me when I'm talking.
I wasn't interrupting you.
Was I just talking?
You're always talking.
Okay, I
You
have a
talk
right
over the
to.
top of everybody. You're the only one that talks.
Okay.
You talk over top of everyone. No one else gets to give their opinion.
Has anybody else been talking today?
No, because you're talking.
Okay.
I'll try.
As far as like recruitment,
We have options, annexing, and so forth and so on. Well, our new houses are being offset by the number of graduates who are leaving, will leave town and not come back, all right? If your housing has been, 3.5 per household,
Yeah, I don't want to
someone
hear
dies,
nothing nobody else say.
all right, two people
Let me
leave
talk.
town, you build a new house, but that house is still being occupied.
Okay, you and Jason talk.
Population has
Like he's
gone
talking.
down
You're
because
talking.
someone died.
Because y'all being rude.
No, I'm not.
It's, in order to get 1,000 people, you gotta go 300 new homes. You have to look at what's really happening. You call growth is growth, no, it's holding against the tide, but that's a separate issue. That's not a budget. That's not a budget issue.
Right. So I'm looking for, at the moment, I've heard several people say the 2 mil increase is palatable, that that's something that they would like to bring forward. So at the moment, I'm leaning towards bringing, option 2. Not touching reserve, not going, maintaining the 3% cost of living, and going with the 2 mil increase.
When we were talking about a 12 mil increase initially, or whatever it was, yeah, to get it where it needed to be without making cuts and raising taxes.
Yes.
No one likes to raise taxes and no one likes to get an increase. I don't like it any better than anybody else, but it is what it is. We got to balance the budget. I think we do the least amount of damage with a 2 mil increase. I think people will accept because it's a modest increase. We're gonna look out for our people. They're gonna get a raise, which we need to do. We need to look out for our people. that
When
work
you
for
say
us.
our people, what do you mean?
What about our employees?
Specify.
So, you know, that's something that it's important to me that we take care of them. And if they can't keep up with the cost of living, they're gonna have to hunt someplace else to go. And, you know, we don't want them to leave, we want to keep them. So I think that's what we need to do. But myself, I wouldn't object to a 2% or 2 mil increase. I don't think that's unreasonable. And if the economy goes gangbusters and the town makes a lot of money, we always have the option of not spending the money. I mean, we can approve it, but maybe next year you could do a decrease, but I don't see that happening. But
When is reassessment next year? When do we see those numbers?
I'm not sure if we see that prior to the budget or not. I don't remember when we had that. We didn't see that. Does anybody have any other questions? I will bring to you the budget with a 2 mil increase for Monday night. You're back to the anchor.
All right.
How do we get to that?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm hearing, and nobody else is objecting. I mean, we're not voting. This is not a vote, but
But Monday night, we will be voting.
yes, Monday night you vote.
So
ideally,
if you vote tonight for whatever we want Monday night.
I'm wanting you to give me that guidance. Monday night is the first reading, that's the first vote. And then, and the plan is to have second reading on the 26th of June. So, a little over 2 weeks ago.
The public hearing in between, right?
Well, the public hearing is at the start of council meeting on the 26th.
The 26th of
This one.
It's June 26th. I know, we're wearing ourselves out with meetings, that's for sure.
So you're saying that the final will be on the 26th of June?
Yes.
The public will have their say-so on the 26th of June?
Yeah, so
you're basically not giving them time.
So we.
So we really are not looking out for the public.
Well, so the normal procedure is first reading, it's presented, it's public information, we'll have it on the website.
But everybody ain't on the website. I know old people that ain't on the website.
Well, it's available at the office, people can come by and review it, it's on the website. We will
So it's for
have,
certain people.
it's for everybody. I can't put it in everybody's hands, but it is for everybody.
I think it's our job as council to communicate with their constituents of what's going on.
How many council members do it? Do you do it? Do you do it? You go into all your districts and commute with your district.
Ones on your phone,
No, you don't.
ones on your phone.
You don't. People don't stop lying.
But you can't make any changes on second reading,
This is the budget. This is what's
Come on, let's go home. Y'all do what y'all want to do so I can get out of here.
No. Once you do first read, you change it, you cannot change between first and second reading.
That's right.
It starts over again.
Exactly.
But that's
What
what
we pass Monday night, what we pass Monday night will be what we'll have to pass, or else you will start, you'll start all over again, which puts us in the penalty box. So what you pass Monday night is what has to be passed on the 26th,
Yeah.
because it cannot be changed. You change it, you start all over again. It's another first reading, there's no change between first and second reading.
So to avoid going with the 2 mil increase, we need to come to a consensus tonight as to whether we all
You can have
agree
a
on.
public, you can have a public hearing before the meeting, before second reading. You want to do it the same night.
You can dissent Monday night by a vote of no. I mean, it takes a majority, 5 to pass. I'm just saying that, you know,
Well, it would be good to leave here with a consensus of what we probably gonna pass and not be a surprise to us. So, I haven't
You
heard.
can't poll people.
What's that? I'm sorry, I was talking, what'd you say?
You cannot poll or you cannot vote in the work session.
Today, yeah, right, I know, but what
That's what the
Jay
consensus
is,
meeting, Paul.
I don't understand, but
Okay.
Jay says he's heard nobody else talk about any other of the three options.
If we're kind of wrapping up.
So that's why he's bringing the option
I'm
two.
hearing several people that
Okay.
are supporting option two, which was the 2 mil
Which
increase.
is minimal.
Yeah.
So,
When Mr. Hall was speaking earlier, we were not looking at the 2 mil increase. That was not what he was bringing, and because of my representation for the constituents of the town, I don't want to see the increase, because I know that it's eventually, there will be a lot of property owners who may lose their properties because of the increase, because we are seeing constant increases since I've been on here a few months. So I'm not ready to agree with that we do go with the 2 mil. I believe that we need to
Well,
get.
that median house was about $16 for the year, was the increase for that 155.
No,
yeah,
it
for a
was-
$56,000 house, it was about $4.50.
$4.50.
It's $2.
Do you have a high percentage of rentals in your district?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying because rental properties will be faced with 1.5
Right.
times that,
And-
which is still a minimal situation.
When you have Leesville Garden there, they pay, park market rent, Granville would pay market rent,
They're not.
Creekview has market, they're gonna pass us that,
So
they're gonna pass that on to them to increase their rent.
it's gonna, that's what I'm thinking about.
Well, typically if they're reasonable business people, that's what they do.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying
No.
that's gonna be the effect of it.
So what we were, what you were presenting earlier did not specifically include that 2 mil,
It was just simply an option,
an option.
yes.
So then your option could be feasible.
And this would be a great time to
That's
actually,
my opinion.
we had an attorney right now.
I felt it.
If I send 2 options to you, and then y'all make a motion Monday night based off of that, then that's when y'all are making that vote.
That makes
Whatever
That
we
is,
go.
that is conceivable.
So I can send you option, we will not, I mean,
If you present option 1, we vote to accept it, you don't have to present option 2. If you present option 1 and we reject it, then we get a shot at option 2, but that's.
trying to think how that works.
Just like you said,
Yeah.
you present 2 options and.
No, 2 resolutions, you make 2 you have someone present 2 motions.
Is it possible to do the public hearing?
You know, I move to approve option 1. You get a second, you vote on it. If it doesn't pass, someone moves to do option 2. That's just whatever.
You have to have 15-day notice on public hearings, so.
Right, I mean, are we really that pressed that we can't get a public hearing so we can hear from people before we make these decisions? I mean, once you make the decision, then you're gonna hear from a lot of people saying, I can't believe you raised my taxes. And we can say, well, we had a public hearing, but if you have a public hearing before, just right before the meeting, you know, anybody here wants to speak on a public hearing, hearing none, boom, we're going to our meeting. Give the people a chance to speak.
I'm trying to ask a question about the public meeting, because I hadn't been coming, I hadn't been on council. Does anybody ever speak at a public meeting? Because I've never heard a word
Some
said.
people do speak,
It's
yes.
rare, it's rare, but people.
Yes,
Really
it
think that.
is. Yes,
Because
they
people don't
do.
know about it.
You,
I mean, it's published.
Yeah, but you know,
And that's what you're
council people
supposed to
have
be
to go out and
doing, looking out
tell
for
people,
the
this is a
public.
tax, if you talk
But
about
we
tax
don't.
increases, your people will come. If you let them know that we're talking about potential bill increase, they will come. We have not done, as a council, a good job of communicating with people. We have a quick, public hearing right before the meeting, nobody's here, okay, boom, let's go into our meeting. That's not even how most councils do. You have a
Now,
standalone,
I'll argue with you there, because I was involved Irma, whenever I was trying to get some properties on, every public meeting that was held was done exactly the same way.
Yeah, well, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, it
I mean, it
might
can
not
be
but
done,
that's how it's done.
That's
Mr. Mayor, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
second.
Third.
So what did y'all decide on?
We'll present both options to y'all. So I'll send two budget that y'all will make a decision on Monday night.
We have a motion and a second. Anyone not want to adjourn?
It's true.
Without objection, we are adjourned.
Basically, two that have got less
American Legion playing ball, playing up my grandson.
Yes, second.
Because it's basically a high school team. That's what it is, the best part, they play the field, they play the game too. Love baseball. I love it much better than what Brandon play.
She said third. I was saying second.
It's a lot easier on my job.
It's all,
Did you second?
One budget.
no,
Did you second the,
Dave Bought night.
Mine and.
Oh, okay.